And the river still shines and shimmers in the light as it did in our grandfather's day, when they rode all night to fish in the morning and lived in Willapa Bay.
Just about ready to fire off the 8 o'clock hour here. Now, it would not be this easy to share these stories without our friends by our side. So thank you once again for allowing everyone to be part of your Fisher Poets weekend. Now the next performer on stage is a true rock star in the Fisher Poet industry here. He has fished off the Oregon and Washington coast, a very, very able-bodied seaman on the salvage, Chief. My friend and yours, Geno Leech.
That was a big build-up, man. Okay. It's called seasick. Well, I've been down the Gurrian mud and hands and knees puking in the sea slop scuppers. I've puked in a lava soap scum galley sink as a crew nod. Snow tire steaks for supper. Well, I puked picking poison spine, green-eyed ratfish and stickweed gobs while hauling back the sock. I puked in a sloshing black oily engine room bilge, engaging the power takeoff. Well, I puked on virgin white cannery flake ice, steaming vapors in a heaving rolling fish hole. I puked in bucket mouth lingcod, idiot fish, and high dollar petrolly sole. Well, I've had the chills, the shivers, the shakes, and the sweats from my Helly Hansen hood to my extra duff boot toes. I've shot puke gushers out of my mouth like a trash pump discharge hose. Well, I've had dry heaves so bloody bad. If I had a gun, I'd have shot myself. If I had the strength to unbuckle it, I'd have hung myself on my belt. Yeah, I've been sicker than a salmon poisoned dog and greener than a Boston Celtic while walling around on some old slab of a leaking seagoing relic. Well, getting seasick, your machismo takes a hike. Your ego and vanity crumble. Yeah, but I don't take offense. It's just a sea's way of keeping me humble. Thank you. I'm nervous tonight. We only do this, once a year, None of us are professionals, but anyway. So this next one is about, it's a half a poem of the salvage chief. Probably one of the most well-known vessels that ever sailed up and down this coast. The whole west coast and Alaska had some amazing salvage jobs. And best years any deck I was on that vessel, Built in 45. Tremendous pulling power. A lot of big heavy winches and anchors. But doesn't really get the recognition like it should. Down here at the museum, they've had very little on it over the years. I don't know why. They've, old captains, old log books, film, stories, and they're doing this big edition down there, and I sure as hell hope they put it in it. So this is the last half of the Salvage Chief. Well, blistered by the tropics and blued by the Arctic wind, her dogged crews in danger, her bonded next of kin. They've tasted fear and fury on her black cat steel decks, paid with back and bone to free a stranded wreck. Whether riggers, welders, divers, towboaters, engineers and skookum fins, ex-coasties, loggers, seagoing cooks, and commercial fishermen, they're stacked around the edges like a choker setter's cuffs. They have heavy marine salvage hearts and red lead primer guts. Well, the chief's bow chocks flare like warhorse nostrils. The stranding's in the wind. She greets green hissing boarding seas like a sentimental friend. For 50 years, she's rolled the dice on distant wrecks and ventured across the bar. She's a salvage chief, a steel saint with a Fairbanks beating heart. Thank you. Yeah, you'd think my wife was back here in labor or something, man. Some nights you got it, and some nights you get the bugs, you know. But anyway, so now this one here is called Leftovers. I fished on the Columbian Star with Blair Miner. The Miners are an old family up and down this coast, and we just two-manned it on there. But he did all the cooking, you know, for a captain to cook. You know, that usually doesn't happen, but man, he was good. One of the best captains I ever had too, so it's called Leftovers. Well, did some two-man dragging with old Blair Miner and the Columbian Star. He was one fine skipper and a hell of a fish boat cook. Well, his claim to fame was a big old copper pot bottom kettle pressed up with chili and stew and chicken and dumplings. Hell, a deckhand never had it so good. Well, he'd give that kettle a big old sniff and a stir, and he'd always say, "Yep, we're gonna be eating on this shit for days." Well, me and my wife went to New York, went to a restaurant full of hanging ferns and eat dorks. Yeah, it was a Highliner joint up in Midtown Manhattan. Had more stars than General George Patton. Well, the waiter walked over my entree of Nouvelle cuisine. Had one pigeon neck, 2 fava beans. Well, I bit my tongue, but I just had to say, "Yep, we're gonna be eating on this shit for days." Well, my wife reared back and barked both my shins. She slapped the snooze juice right off of my chin. I asked her, "Honey, what would I say?" She said, "You said we're gonna be eating on this shit for days." Well, what I have here, man. Well, later tonight when you're tucked in your bed, this here poem will be doing jumping jacks in your head. And next time you're stirring the stew pot, I guarantee you'll be repeating old Blair Miner's phrase, "Yep, we're gonna be eating on this shit for days." Thank you. What else we got here? I'm driving my wife nuts. She laid this whole book out for me and everything real nice. Okay, so this is, sorry, honey. This is a pink-orange glow. Pink-orange glow, so that's the color I always envision with the sodium lights out there, you know. For crabbers, they range, I think they start in the Bering Sea or Norway and they work their way down. Speaking of crabbing, had a terrible deal over in Ilwaco. That Ilwaco landing caught fire and had all those crab gear stacked outside on the dock and everything, and it all caught fire. There's few thousand pots burn up out there right before the season started. So crabbers up and down the coast from border to border, they all chipped in and got these guys going. You know, they donated gear, did whatever they had to do, and them guys got in the water and went fishing. Really amazing. Too bad those boys ain't running the Senate and the Congress, you know. Okay, here we go, pink-orange glow. That's another one of these is going to be half of it. So, well, she idled across a breaking bar, casting a sodium globe. The lump was 10 to 14 feet with an occasional buffalo. The crew were wedged in heaving bunks, Grime pillows drank their drool. Their clammy quilts were patchwork stink of bait and brine and fuel. Well, the skipper's wash rock fissured face glowed green in the dashboard lights. Hit past more lighthouses and telephone poles. He was a hard case stick and stay guy. He slurped scalded fishboat Folgers from a varicose veined white mug. Zippoed his umpteenth camel and kept an eye on an inbound tug. He found a hole in a lump and throttled up a howling 6-1-10. The boat gave a buck, she banged and she rolled and shipped green water again. He ran offshore and sniffed out his string, painted Norwegian green and gloss white. In foaming black seas, buoys danced, dove and teased in the pink-orange glow of the sodium lights. Well, the grog cowlick crew rolled out of the bunks. The boat wallowed deep in the trough. Silent and sullen, they pulled on dank boots and questioned the lives they had wrought. Drunk with sleep on a rolling back deck, their lungs dragged in diesel exhaust and shining like seals in moss green Helly Hansens. They meat-axe crab bait and swung out the block. Yeah, thank you very much. I'll tell you. Well, anyway, now this is the first. I never sang before, right? Maybe in Sunday school 70 years ago, but this is a plagiarized the a tune from post-World War I. And this might go good or real bad, you know, so. Yeah, and it's called, well, for one thing, it's in the key of Brother, Can You Spare a Dime? And I don't have any backup, so I'm going to sing this one a cappella tonight. It's called Brother, Can You Spare a Crab? Well, once I had a crabber, made it race down a string. Once I had a Detroit, now it's done. Brother, can you spare a crab? Once I had windows on a boat, took them out by buoy one. Now I have staples and a plastic tarp. Brother, can you spare a crab? Well, once in Helly Hansens, we sang, I can't even read it. Stay with me here. I ain't had one like this in a long time. Let me start over. Hold it. Sorry. Okay, once I had windows on my boat, took them out by buoy one. Now I have staples and a plastic tarp. Buddy, can you spare a crab? Once we wore Helly Hansens. Gee, we looked swell, singing no pain, no gain. 500,000 boat for killing those bugs, and I was a guy getting skunked. Say, don't you remember they called me Brad? It was Brad all the time. Say, don't you remember I'm your dad? Buddy, can you spare a crab? Say, don't you remember they called me Brad? It was Brad all the time. Say, don't you remember I'm your dad? Buddy, can you spare a crab? Thank you. I'll never forget this one. I guess I gotta get my ass out of here about now, so. But anyway, I don't know, shit. Yeah, well. Okay, well, I guess that's gonna do her. Thanks for the patience and thanks for coming out, and we'll see you down the road somewhere. Thank you.
gentle wind or the dark blue sea, no more will stay thy hand. Since Willie is safe at home with me in his own dear native land.
Hey, thanks for taking a minute to talk to us about the FisherPoets Gathering. Can you tell me your name?
Jason.
Jason, why are you here this weekend?
This must be like our 15th one. We've been coming since 2008 from Portland to Astoria to see the poetry.
That is fantastic. So that means you're really enjoying it. You're getting a lot out of it. What would you tell people if they were asking you what it's all about and what they should see?
Absolutely. I'm always recruiting folks to come down because it's very casual. Doesn't cost a lot of money. You get to see all the poets you'd like, get to see even more, and it's all walkable. There's plenty of food and plenty of room and lots of voices and 20 minutes, and then you're on to a new artist. So it's been a treat every time. We'll never miss it.
Well, I know we only had the Friday night performances. We haven't had the Saturday night performances yet, but so far, what's been your favorite?
I was seeing a number of great familiar faces, and then I finally ventured out a bit and saying instead of my favorites, I'd see some I didn't know. So last night over at Fort George, I saw Mariah Waterman and thought it was just a home run, each poem of hers. So I hope to maybe track her down or follow through with my plan to see new artists tonight.
Any tips?
If you just move around a lot and you just open your mind up to something new, you'll always be surprised.
Jason, thank you so much for talking with us today. We appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome.